And welcome back to the For the Badge podcast. I'm super excited. You know what time it is. It's the World Cup. We have a special broadcast for you. We got some guest appearances on the show, and I'm going to let them do the introductions. Mr. Lewis, take it away.
I'm Lewis, and I'm a Manchester City fan. I know people don't think they're real or that they exist, but I am a Manchester City fan for the most weird reason. It's because of FIFA. I can't remember what year, but it's because of a FIFA video game. I lived in England for a little while and was a Norwich fan because I lived near there. And then all my friends were United fans, and I said I wanted to pick the other team, so I picked United. They were not picked City, and they were not the City of that time. And I happened to join or choose them around the time there was money. Didn't understand what the money thing was, and I've stuck around. So I guess I could be called plastic if people want to do that, but I'll take all the plastic trophies that have come since 2008.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Brian, you up next?
Brian, I'm a Manchester United fan for no reason other than I was a kid when David Beckham was coming up and the young boys, and they were the same color as my favorite football team. So that's where I went, and been a fan ever since, and looking forward to better days.
Perfect. Patrick?
I'm Patrick. Let's see. I started playing soccer when I was young. I was a goalie, a right back. I actually didn't have a club when I was growing up. Everybody was Liverpool fans, and I just didn't want to be a Liverpool fan. When I stopped playing, I got away from it all. But after it became easier to watch games, I fell in love with Didier Drogba. I thought he's an amazing, not only man, but also player. So I'm a Chelsea fan. I've been a Chelsea fan for probably 15 years now. So I of course, jumped on the bandwagon when they were good, but I have dealt with some years where I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Like this year. So the ups and downs with Chelsea are fun, but they also are a little nerve wracking. My pessimism has come because of that as a result. But yeah, I got to see Chelsea in person when they played in Charlotte the first time against PSG. It's still one of the coolest things I've ever seen. There was Hazard and when they were playing PSG, you had Thiago Silva, everything. Of course, now he's playing for Chelsea. So just amazing time, and it just made my love for Chelsea even grow stronger. So my plan is to get over to England here in the next couple of years so I can see a game at the Bridge. But if they come back over, I plan on seeing them again in person.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I would love to get over there. Well, perfect. Let's go ahead and get into it. Guys, I saw today no beer being sold at the stadiums. They have non-alcoholic beer for Budweiser, the Bud Zero, but no beer, no actual beer.
That's the worst. That is the absolute worst. Like, why would you want to sit in 90-degree weather and not have something to cool you down? I mean, I was watching a Twitter video of England at practice, and they are just pouring sweat.
Oh,
and I'm like, okay, maybe the U.S. might have a chance against them.
Maybe. Do you think it's necessarily to have a beer at the game? I mean, I feel like sometimes you can get a little dehydrated. You might have to have a water with your beer.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, I can only imagine how much they charge for a beer at the World Cup, though. I mean, I think when I went,
it said it was 12 euros or 12 pounds.
12 euros?
I think it was the pound sign, honestly.
Oh,
but that was in one of the fan zones. They have zones, but I don't know how far these zones are away from the stadium.
Right.
What the walk in between is going to be like if it's 117 degrees. Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the thing is the World Cup's like a big party, and it not being a party is gonna, it's going to kind of kill the atmosphere a little bit. I mean, I think there will still be a good atmosphere, but I think it'll also kill the atmosphere too, because people want to. I mean, I'm trying to think. Was it the Euros in France? I think it was, where like the ultras got into it in Marseille, and it was insane. But it was, I mean,
Yeah.
that's you can't see that happening in Qatar. I mean, it's just you're gonna end up in
Might be a
jail.
little bit too scared to be fighting in the streets.
Exactly. So it'll be an interesting atmosphere.
Mhm.
It's kind of the gift and the curse if you think about it, because just thinking about, I didn't think about it until you guys said it, because I've thought like the World Cup in Brazil and other places, and you hear about some of the unsavory things that happen, and I think about it. And if you look at whatever world news is, you hear about foreigners going into Middle Eastern countries and maybe not coming out, or coming out with some war stories. And while I mean, I think they kind of played the whole world when they did the beer thing to kind of renege on it, so to speak. It may save some of the people from the troubles that they may get into from being in the stadium, because you hear the argument of, well, you have to respect the rules of a country, and I respect that. I get that. I mean, no better person can understand that than an American, where we're a mix of stuff. But I think the thing is that when you do the World Cup, it's meant to share your culture with the world. So if you're imposing something on others and you're not apologetic about it, I think it's something that may be safer for you than not, because there are other issues outside of the beer that people have seen controversy attached to this World Cup. And I think having a sober mind being there might make everyone a little safer in the long run. They might not appreciate it in the moment, but I think later on, I still disagree with not having the beer there. But now thinking about it, they might be saving people from themselves, kind of.
Well, I saw a story right before I hopped on this, and FIFA officials don't even have their 5-star accommodations right now. Like some of the stuff that's coming out. Like I saw an interview in, I think it was in um, Netherlands, I think it was, and they tried to like smash the guy's camera. So I think that some of that stuff, like you said, the soberness is going to help, but I think there's also going to be some stories that come out where it's like, why do we do it here again? Kind of thing.
What's up, Xavier?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, man? Did you hear that? What Patrick was talking about as the guys accosted this news crew outside the stadium because they were, they're from Holland, I think, and they were doing their report, and they did like apologize to him later, and they made some kind of deal about the making sure the papers are, properly recognized or whatever. It seems a little fishy.
Yeah, I mean, look at the location in which we're. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. There's going to be I think there's going to be a lot more horror stories coming out of this World Cup than ever.
Well, I mean, just think about the controversy and then just even getting the World Cup, like even winning the bid.
Right.
And now we're to the point to where we're actually going to have the event. I don't think anything bad's going to happen, but some of those stories we're going to hear are going to be like, what was the FIFA thinking? And of course, it was money.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you think any of this could have been changed, Brian? Do you think we left it way too late to change any of this stuff?
I think that there's a bunch of stuff wrong with the way this all was handled, and it sucks for Budweiser and the sponsors, but at the end of the day, it's the World Cup, and if you're sober watching your team win a World Cup final, you're gonna be just as happy as if you're drunk, and you're gonna probably remember it better. So I'm just ready for the thing to start. I'm excited for it, and I think the controversies around it are done. It's time to kick off. It's time to play soccer.
Just to add one more point, I think one thing that really was the big deal, because I have several friends, we chat soccer a lot, and our biggest issue was that they put it in the middle of the season, and that just showed the bounds that were non-existent about what money would do for the game, because I mean, it literally, I've seen players complain, even though they're rich, they complain about just the overwork they get, and you're just looking at the amount of games that these players are going to play this year, this season. It can be insane because you pick up league right after that, and then Champions League, and then league cups and things, and you're just like, they don't even care about the well-being of the players, because the summer window is going to be an insane summer, because I mean, how many players are just going to limp across? How many injuries can happen? I mean, I'll be optimistic and hope none, but I mean, how much will this affect the quality? And I mean, FIFA, specifically UEFA, had to know, like, hey man, you're really like in the middle of the heart of where we make our money. And so that means whatever, if somebody was paid, it was a ton of money, because I know Sepp Blatter came out and said he was wrong for that. Well, I mean, you could say it after you're gone. I mean, come on, man. It was empty to even say it.
Yeah, I am worried about the injuries side of it. We saw it right before, going into this little break before the World Cup, but I think we're going to see, a lot of soft tissue injuries, hamstrings and things like that.
Yeah, I hope not. I know everybody's petrified. Especially teams like City have 16, I think, players.
Yeah, we're good.
It's like 10 of the last 11 of your last starting 11 lineup.
We're good.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're good.
Let's see, Conte's out.
Yeah, we're good.
Reese is out.
Yeah, we needed it. Yeah.
Sadio Mane had surgery today too. That's massive for Senegal.
Yep.
That's
Huge hit for Senegal.
That's massive for Senegal.
Big uptick for Ecuador, though.
For Ecuador.
Hey, a question for Xavier. Like, what's your team? Because I know we got everybody's. I didn't catch who yours was.
I'm not going to be rooting for the U.S. anytime soon. I'm definitely an English fan.
No. I mean, like, club team. Who's your club team?
Chelsea. Chelsea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
Since
Cool.
2010. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I didn't tell them that you're not cheering for Team USA.
Oh yeah, no.
So feel free to rag on him mercilessly for being a traitor.
Give a reason for that. Why the no US?
Where's the league? Here's the biggest point, honestly.
I live in Austin, man. The league's here, baby. Austin FC, LA, all over. We love the
You
league.
watch MLS soccer?
I watch MLS soccer. Hell yeah.
I feel so bad for you. I don't.
What?
I would
The
never watch
atmosphere is
MLS.
amazing, man.
They are.
What are you talking? There's like
100
5
years.
leagues in the world that have a bigger following.
100 years behind Europe.
You just said it's an uptick for Ecuador. You think the Ecuadorian league's more popular than the MLS?
In Ecuador, absolutely.
Or Iran, or the Wales League? I mean, MLS is doing it. We're bringing in people.
Because of the money. It doesn't hurt the quality. A 40-year-old.
When's the last time you watched an MLS game?
40-year-old Zlatan can come and rule the league. What does that say about the MLS league as a whole?
Well, Zlatan thinks he can rule any league.
He
does.
it in MLS.
But he did it at United too. He was pretty damn good at United. So I mean, I'm gonna give Zlatan credit. He's good everywhere he goes. He's just more injury prone now. But I'm a co-sign to MLS a little bit too. While I am a European football fan, since I'm in the DC area, I've been to quite a few DC United games, and I've enjoyed them. I mean, I'm not sure who said it, but the atmosphere is spot on. The stadiums they build for them are perfect for how the games are played. The atmosphere is great. People are like really into the games. And while it's not, I think unfairly we compare MLS to the other American sports that exist that have much more history and a greater following. And so it struggles. And then it's not the spectacle of European football. But I mean, I think it's improved in the last 5-10 years. Is it European? No, but is it better than what it was? Yes.
I personally think that the MLS contingent for the Team USA is going to be really big for us. I think it's going to be a couple of people that are standing out. I mean, think about DeAndre Yedlin is our only man on the squad with any experience, and he's at Inter Miami, I think, right now.
I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Zimmerman will be starting. He's in Nashville.
Yeah.
We have some good representation.
Aaron Long.
Costa.
You think Aaron Long will start?
Yeah, I do. I think that there's a little bit of cohesion between him and Zimmerman compared to Ream. I would prefer Ream, but I feel like it'll probably be Zimmerman and Long in the back.
What about goalkeepers? Do you think? I mean, I think it's Matty Turner all day.
Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be. I mean, by not taking Stefan, I think that was a big step to having Turner be the number one in goal. I mean, I like Sean Johnson, but I think this is too big of a step for him, truthfully. Turner, even though he can't play well with his feet, I was looking at something the other day, and he's like the best shot stopper in the World Cup, or of goalies that are in the World Cup. So, but of course, you're talking about CONCACAF compared to UEFA and CONMEBOL and all that. So, I mean, that's one thing to keep in mind. But I think that I'm very pessimistic actually on the U.S.'s chances right now, and it's going to take Turner to give us a shot.
Well, we have a tradition of great goalkeeping, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, Tony Miola is why I became a goalkeeper. Truthfully,
Tony Miola, that's a callback. Nice, absolutely.
It's interesting because I mean, what's the keeper? He escaped my mind. Stefan. Stefan played at City, and you really thought that it was gonna be a step for him. He was good early on, and then he had some rough challenges, and I'm disappointed to not see him there. But I mean, you have to go with quality and form for something like this. So I agree. I think Turner probably will be the one that starts. But I think it's just the quality of who you face, because even though you have facing the CONMEBOL, you have Matt Turner's facing, he's in the Prem, so he's not it's not foreign to see the quality that he'll face. And I mean, the Arsenal team that's there is pretty solid. So I think he's around enough people to know what's necessary to kind of get his team right.
Definitely more Europa League, but he has shown well. I think a big question on this U.S. team is who's captain? Who's taking the armband? What do you think, X?
Well, I told you, it's got to be the guy. Yeah, it's got to be Pulisic.
Captain
I'm probably
America.
not going to give it to him just because it's so young. I think it's got to. He's got to put the team on his back and score goals. He has to. So he's the most prolific name on there. He's our new Donovan. He's got to show up, and if he doesn't, the whole team's going to reflect that, and you'll lose to England, you'll lose to Wales. You don't put goals in the net. Those two teams are. So
You think he can live up to Donovan, Brian?
I sure hope. I don't know that anyone lives up for Donovan for me, but yeah, I sure hope. I kind of disagree though. I think Acosta might get the armband.
I was thinking that, or Zimmerman actually.
Yeah.
I think
I do agree with the point that Pulisic has to step up and has to get us goals and has to get us points, especially in this first game against Wales. I mean, getting 3 points here is just it's massive, because having England too is grim if we don't have points already. So I do agree that Pulisic, it's his job to put us on the back and to get us goals. But I think Acosta probably gets the bait.
Who does he play for right now?
LAFC.
Just won a MLS championship.
I think Xavier made a really good point. Like, he's got all this pressure on him, and I do think that if you put the pressure of being captain as well, it may be too much. And that's one reason why I'm actually, thinking that he won't be captain. Because he's already, I mean, if you look at all the advertisements leading up to it, it's Pulisic, Pulisic. And it's been that way for 2 years now. I mean, when the US didn't make 2018, he stepped up and said, we're going to be there in 2022. So he's already played with that pressure, but now it's another step. And my concern is he's really out of form. I mean, he truly has been out of form almost for about 2 years now. It feels like, anytime he starts to make some forward step in that next level for him, he either gets injured or we get a new manager at Chelsea and then he gets sent to the bench. So but the one thing that I will say is my biggest concern with US is the 9 spot. I just don't know if there's I don't know if they're going to score goals. I mean, I was joking with someone yesterday because they had a closed door friendly and supposedly they played really well. And I said, maybe we finally scored an away goal because it feels like we haven't done that in a year. So that's my biggest concern is where the goal is going to come from if it's not from Pulisic.
Right.
Have y'all heard of Haji Wright? I hadn't really noticed him until he was named to the squad. I went and looked him up. And Berhalter has said he's been, made a lot of selections based on form. So Haji Wright has 9 goals, I think he said, in the Turkish league for Antalyaspor. Antalyaspor, I guess is how you say that. Yeah. But yeah, that's a great question though. Who's number 9? I know Brian, you said something about Jesus Ferreira not really doing great in the playoffs, not really stepping up. It's definitely a pressure situation. I haven't seen much of Timothy Weah either. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ferrer for me, if you can't step up in the MLS playoffs, the World Cup's going to be a tough ask. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good point for Patrick that we need goals and hopefully we get some miracles. We've had miracle goals before. Hopefully they come. Pulisic finds form in the World Cup. I'm not as pessimistic. I think that if we can get a goal against Wales, they're a little more passive of a team, so we could get 3 points there. England's tough, but Iran having to come on the front foot can let up some easy goals. So I don't know. I think Pulisic. I would like to see Reyna get in. I think he could get some.
How much does Reyna's Champions League experience count, do you think, Lewis? You're muted.
I'm muted, yeah, because I know the podcast thing with background noise, so I try not to have the background noise. Can you ask the question again? I heard you, but then I want to make sure I'm answering correctly.
Yeah, how much do you think Gio Reyna's Champions League experience? He got that first Champions League goal, kissed the tattoo.
Yeah,
Jazz. How much you think that counts?
Well, I mean, I was looking at his form, and the funny thing is that kind of going on the Pulisic point too. I think while I think it might be pressure for him, then I'm going to come to Reyna in a second. I think it's something that he's going to take on so he can show management at Chelsea that he should be playing. So I think he'll be something he wants to take on. But I'm just looking at the form of Reyna, and I mean his form is like okay in the last few games. So he may be on to prove something, but I don't know. I agree with the other guys that goals are going to be an issue. Now, I was unfamiliar with the guy who played in the Turkish league, but I'm looking at his stuff, and now he's in form. Like just looking at his numbers, he's been in great form the last 4 games. And so, I mean, soccer, football is about form. So you stick the guy out there who's putting them in. It's not about names. And, some guys can play by their name. I think Pulisic is one of them. But, I mean, when you need to get those goals in, you got to find somebody that's in form. And I think he might be the guy. He's a big guy, and so I think the style that the USA may play may help them. I think it depends on how they attack Wales, and I think just it's going to really matter the style of play and then who they pick.
Another point I'd like to make for Christian for the band is 52 caps. There's not a single player on that squad who comes close.
I mean, Yedlin was in the last World Cup though, as far as experience goes.
52 caps.
Well, see, and that's my concern too. Is if you look, this team is the youngest team in the tournament. You know,
Yeah.
first off, you're talking about a 4-year or an 8-year gap. I'm sorry, you have an 8-year gap, and then you have the youngest team in the tournament. And we won't even get started on Greg because I don't think too well on Greg. So I mean, that does lead to some pessimism. Of course, youth can be exuberant and can surprise, and you know maybe that's what happens. I feel like
Spain did it. Yeah. Spain went young. So yeah.
yeah, but I mean,
They were
it is-
champions. They were already champions in 2010. They were European
I'm saying this year,
right now.
Spain went young this year instead of fielding.
You're talking about this year, yeah.
yeah,
Instead of
but
fielding their legends, they went super young.
Yedlin's
Yeah.
got 75 caps, by the way.
but I mean, I just think
He's gonna get the ban.
no.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Go ahead, Patrick.
I just think that is something that may creep up. Now, of course, you've had all these, you know, little tournaments, you know, the Nations League, and of course the Gold Cup. But of course, that's nothing like the World Cup. You know, that's a totally different pressure. It's a totally different stage, and you know that's why it's good that we've got Arena, we've got Tyler Adams and Aronson and Pulisic have all played in big matches. I mean, of course, Pulisic's played in a Champions League final, but again, it's a World Cup. You know, it's just a totally different vibe, totally different feeling, and I really worry about that youth. I think that youth has actually started to show in the last few games leading up to this, where they just didn't have it in them to just take care of business, and that's my biggest concern going into the first match specifically.
I
I
think
think
also,
Tyler Adams has a shout for the band.
He
Go ahead.
does. That's a good point.
I think just thinking about the games, I think this World Cup is like no other. Which now I'm being honest, as an American, I hope we go as far as possible. But I'm using the quote unquote realism that I don't really see. I think getting out of the group would be great, and then whatever after that. But I think the time
After that, right?
the time of the tournament just being in November, December, but also just the weather. I think all those things kind of play in a very different way, where these European guys are used to playing in cold weather right now, and the MLS is finished, so a lot of these guys are rested. I think that's something that could benefit the U.S. going forward. Like I feel like the U.S. has an opportunity to get out of the group, but I don't know. It's hard to read because I think a lot of these other guys, their minds were everywhere else. They didn't have that same time of accomplishment at the end of a season like the World Cup normally comes. They're fighting for places in their team, and they're trying to use this as a jump off spot. So I think this will help the U.S. a little bit.
So I was talking to Brian, I think that was yesterday, and I was telling him how I thought that history would, play a part, because I think it's 14 of 21 cups you've had to beat Germany, Argentina, or Brazil to win. And so he made the point, though, about what America always brings to the World Cup, about how, any game, any day, sometimes when you just want it more, when you just have that heart, that 2010 USA Landon Donovan Superman slide heart, that might be our X factor, as you say. Talk about that something different for us, for the States. Who do you think brings it? Anyone in our team gonna kind of step up and be that leader?
I could see Wes McKinney doing it. I could see. I could
Juve
see.
have been awful, man. He's had a rough go of it. They've
Yeah,
been terrible.
yeah.
Take
I could see him
Pulisic, you
doing
know,
it.
I mean, one of the most famous images of Pulisic is him crying on the field after we missed the World Cup, you know. I mean, he's I think he could be the guy, you know, and he needs to be the guy, so he's gonna be the guy.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, as much as again, also we love the USA, we do all watch Premier League. So what are we thinking on England? What are England's chances? We can start macro. What do you think? Anyone?
I'll
Man,
jump in there. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I think England goes further in this tournament than most. I wish they weren't riddled with injuries. I wish we had a healthy Reece James. I wish we had a healthy Walker. I wish we had a healthy Chilwell.
Walker's back to training.
But in all, England's so deep with the players they have produced in the last 5-6 years. Those guys have a solid squad, even given the injuries that have plagued that squad through and through. I don't think, France is going to be weaker than what we've seen from France because they have no midfield. They are decimated. And we have the players to recycle that because of the Prem, which is a big reason. Like that's one of my biggest pushes for supporting England. I think the Prem has the most players in the World Cup. It speaks for the Prem. The Prem is the best league in the world, hands down, bar none. The home country of the home league of the best league in the world should be competing for this cup every time it comes about. So I want to see them in Brazil. I want to see them in Brazil battle it out at the final and have it just be a banger. But England will be England, and they will trip, so to speak, or slip, I should say.
I think that there's a lot of expectations on England, and it's obviously, earned. I do wonder about all the injuries. How does that affect them? But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but on their run in the Euros, Calvin Phillips really stepped up. I mean, he was a baller. And who's going to be that? Is it going to be Declan Rice? Or is it going to be Calvin Phillips again? He allowed that attacking third to really get upfield and really put pressure on teams. And I actually think it might be Declan Rice. I think he's the biggest key to this England team. If he plays well, then yeah, that team can go as far as they want to.
Yeah.
I think England is down to tactics. I mean, they've never lacked talent. They've always had the talent there, and I just feel like and I'm not knocking Southgate because when he was first appointed, he was seen as just the caretaker manager until somebody else came along, and then the boys made a run for him, and they said, well, maybe this will work. And my concern with England, because I'm like that's I guess sort of a rooting for them a low key. Is they have the quality in every position all over the pitch, with the exception of left back. But outside of, right. But outside of that, it's really tactics. Like for example, I saw a quote the other day that several England players were talking about Phil Foden, and just watching Phil Foden ascend to where he is. But even the older players have said he still hasn't gotten to where he's supposed to be, because there's sort of like the star thing in his head. And when he plays in England, he doesn't look like the guy who plays at Man City. And so that's a concern that you have, where a lot of you don't expect them to be mirror images, but you got a lot of guys who play that tactical possession football. And when they play in England, they don't play that way. And so you see very different guys. And so it makes me wonder, because this England team is made up of a lot of those guys who play that ball now. And Southgate isn't that manager. And I'm not saying he doesn't have the capacity to win with those guys, but I want to see what his adjustments will be, because you mentioned Calvin Phillips, and he was a beast in the last one, but Calvin Phillips has now been working with Guardiola. And so, obviously this may be a different Calvin Phillips you see. And so I think having Declan Rice as your talisman might matter because of how that kind of plays out. But I think the tactics will determine it, because it won't be from the talent.
I don't know, man. We have one of the most prolific strikers with a team behind him. If Lewandowski, it was probably the only other striker, pure 9, out on in this World Cup that is that position. Harry Kane is the best at his position.
There's some number 9s. Alexander Mitrovic is in this tournament.
Come on, man. You're going to put Mitrovic up with Harry Kane?
No, but that doesn't mean that Mitrovic isn't class, isn't
Right.
excellent.
I'm saying we have
Banger of
one
a
of the highest echelon strikers there has been in England in a while. I mean, I hate Harry Kane. I was talking to Jake in the last podcast. I hate Harry Kane. I hate Tottenham. I do. But the man is world class. He will be an icon in England for years to come because of what he's done on the pitch. I wish he wasn't at Tottenham. I really do.
He only needs 4 goals to have the most goals in English World Cup history.
Dude,
Wow.
and he'll get it.
Not
He'll get
overall,
it.
just
I have
the
a-
World Cup.
I have a random question because I know I see it every year. I lived in England for a little while. Have a ton of English friends. Am I the only one who kind of like just a little bit wants England to win it so they can be quiet about it's coming home? Because I just want it to happen so they stop saying it. I just
No,
want
they're
it to
not
be
gonna
done.
say it's coming back. No, they'll just
I
say
feel that.
I personally love that just how they get up for it, and then they falter somehow. I mean, like there was no reason for Italy beating them in Wembley. There was none. But in typical England fashion, they found a
Phil
way.
Gerard slip, man. Yeah. Every time. Every time.
Gotta love it. I definitely think the battle for positions in this England team is definitely up in the air.
Like,
I mean,
Jude Bellingham, are you kidding me? That kid's amazing. But then you have Connor, Henderson, Mount. Like,
Southgate loves his experience. If he goes with Maguire, it's very clear that he loves his experience if Maguire gets in. But, Maguire does have a goal in the World Cup. That's one thing. But I think that for me, it's got to be Kane, Foden, and Saka across the front.
Yeah.
I know Jack Grealish has a shout. Marcus Rashford has a shout, obviously, but I think that's a tough decision.
You don't think it'll be Sterling?
not in the recent, not if he goes by form.
That's
Like, if
true.
they do,
Yeah,
if they do form, Sterling should not, let me rephrase that, should not see the pitch.
I mean, if you
Well,
want to
I mean,
if you want to go by form, though, if you want to go by form, Callum Wilson has a shot as well. Then
Yeah.
he's lighting it up at Newcastle.
But Kane's going to start. I believe Saka's going to start. That's two
Phil
given.
Foden will start.
Yeah,
I think
Foden will start.
He's being overshadowed because Holland is 19 feet tall. Phil Foden is a monster.
He's a monster.
Don't get it twisted. He will start.
Listen, I
Yeah.
think Jack Grealish is a monster too. But I mean, that's between
He
them.
is.
I think those
Yeah,
two.
he
I
is.
think those two will be the variable.
How do you sit Saka though, dude? Oh my!
No, that's what I'm saying. I think
But-
it's Saka, Kane, Foden, or Grealish. Not. I think that whole right side.
Saka's
stays
in.
there. Saka's in.
Where would you play? Where would you play Grealish? Because like we're at City, they play Grealish out of position because he doesn't belong on the wing. He's not a
Yeah.
winger.
I would play
Could he
him
be
at
the
left
10?
wing or left mid. I would.
Would he be the 10 over Mason Mount
No.
Nah.
or James Madison? I hate James Madison.
No.
I cannot believe James Madison is in this squad.
I was blown away by it.
I cannot believe he's in this
injured.
squad.
If James is healthy, if Chilwell's healthy, Madison isn't even a thought in this.
Does
I'm-
Gallagher make it if James and Chilwell are healthy?
Gallagher's been on good form. He just hasn't had a lot of play time.
It can be tough to judge form when Chelsea have been so bad, though.
It's true.
And Grealish hasn't gotten as much playing time, so it can be tough to judge form sometimes. What do you think about Marcus Rashford, Brian? What do you think about his shout getting in the starting lineup?
I don't think he gets in, but I'd love to see him make an impact if off the bench or if he gets an opportunity. But I don't see him starting, and it's hard to think he's going to get many minutes.
I don't know. Sterling might. Damn.
No, there's no way. And in the midfield,
Is that nice?
Calvin Phillips is still just coming. He's coming back still, sort of. He doesn't have time at City either. But again, I think you were right, Lewis, when you said it's about tactics, because are they going to play 2 defensive center mids and maybe do Declan Rice and Henderson? Or are they going to play like Declan Rice and then have Mount and maybe Phillips, Bellingham, or Gallagher as a 2 in front of the center defensive mid?
Also, it's a little weird. I don't understand why. I'm being honest. I understand why Maguire's on the team, but I don't understand why he's on the team. Like he took someone's spot. Like he shouldn't be on the team at all. I mean, and I understand why Jordan Henderson is there as well. You know, it's sort of that leadership thing. But again, I think that's 2 spots where they could have put some energy in the team that I don't that this is where again that the choosing your team is a part of tactics, and I just think this is where he falters. And I don't know if this is his last World Cup. I'm guessing they're kind of setting this up as his swan song because I don't see where they would go with him after this. If he doesn't win with this group, what more is Southgate supposed to do? I mean, they need a new manager.
No, they're
honestly.
notorious for firing managers right after the World Cup.
Yeah.
Potter.
Graham Potter. Brian already wants Potter, or Xavier already wants Potter out of Chelsea.
Oh yeah, I want Potter out anyway.
So maybe Potter will get the England job next.
No, bring Frankie Lampard to get the English job.
Yeah. No, I just
you
feel like
know,
go ahead.
In a random statement, I know I've said this to friends, but I want to put it in front of you all. I think, even though it's not going to be soon, I really think that Pep Guardiola would be a wonderful manager for England. Like, I mean, he's managed damn near the whole team. I think if he became, I think if he managed them, they would make an insane run. I think he would be a great manager for them. I think it's unlikely, but I think he would be a wonderful manager for him or Arteta, just because Arteta is just Guardiola light.
Yeah. No, I want
Pep's gonna replace Berhalter.
Yeah, let's get Arteta to be the U.S. coach. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I thought that was for
Anything but
Mourinho. I
Greg.
thought Mourinho was going to do that.
Oh my God, if Jose came to USA. Oh,
It'd be the greatest thing ever. He is box office.
I would honestly, that might
the
sway
special
me.
one.
That might sway me.
That would be awesome.
So here's the thing.
Man, I
though.
can't stand Mourinho. That's the thing. I don't know, dude.
Miles
Well,
is-
you're an
He's
Arsenal
one of the
fan,
greats
that's
for
why.
sure. I think he could do a good job at USA, but I'm not a fan.
If we make it out, we go up against the Netherlands in the 16.
We got him. I mean, the Netherlands. Let me look. I got their squad pulled up right here. I mean, Daley Blind is at the World Cup. The thing, they don't have so much going forward. Weghorst is huge. I don't know if you've seen him. Memphis Depay will definitely start. Frank
Bergwijn?
It'll probably be Depay and Dumfries.
You're not
No,
scoring
no,
on the Netherlands, man. They got Nathan Ake, Van Dijk.
Yeah, it'll probably be Ake, Van Dijk,
It's pretty strong.
Stefan de Vrij, and
Yeah.
Blind.
We should have never let go of a Nathan and Ake.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, we're so bad at that. Anyway.
You're terrible at it.
Anyway. Oh, here's a prolific youngster. Have him.
I think we match up just fine with the Dutch, honestly. I think we can do some damage there.
England gets Senegal, Germany gets Croatia, Belgium will play Spain, Argentina, Denmark, France, Mexico, Brazil, Uruguay, and Portugal, Switzerland.
Brazil would play Uruguay. Well, I mean, doesn't it depend on winners and second place?
If everyone takes first place, right. If the projection on how this is all laid out by rankings, that's how it's supposed. On paper, it's how it's supposed to go. Although it won't.
That's not how it will go.
No, because I don't think Senegal might not make it out. So like,
No, I don't. I mean, they're loaded with talent,
such a
but
loss.
ooh,
No Mane is such a loss to
a
any
loss.
team. Look at Liverpool. You lose Mane. He's just a monster loss to any team.
And I feel so bad for him because Sadio Mane, him. Like we've all watched that player. This means more to him than I think most players. Like, he's from the smallest town in Senegal. He pours hundreds of millions of dollars back into his community and his country. He is for the flag before he is ever for the badge. And him missing this is a huge blow for him, like personally for him.
I think that might inspire them. I think that might inspire him, especially since it says he's out 3 months, so he's going to likely miss the Champions League match as well.
Yeah.
The match is when
That's
So I think that might inspire him. I'd like to see things like that because then it'll be him. I don't know if did he travel with the team or
No,
not?
he had
No.
surgery
So
today.
I think he had surgery like yesterday or
Oh,
No, it was
today.
okay.
today. It was today.
He was listed to go, so like they wasted a spot on
Well, I
him.
think they can get somebody,
Yeah, they
tomorrow.
can.
They
Yeah.
can bring somebody tomorrow or something.
Okay.
Yeah, because Argentina just switched 2 out, if I
Okay.
remember right.
Oh,
It's
okay.
either
Okay.
Argentina or Uruguay. I can't remember.
Hmm.
I was going to ask y'all. So I'm looking at the bracket, right? And I'm looking at the groups. What do y'all think about that home field kind of advantage? And I'm not talking about Qatar. I'm talking about like your Saudi Arabias, your Tunisias, your Moroccos, your Irans. Like, do they take that, run with it, and have a crazy run, or kind of like oh gosh, who was it in South Africa? Oh goodness, who was it? Wasn't Ghana, was it? It was somebody else that made that run.
It was the Flying Eagles, Nigeria, right?
Yeah,
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the green jerseys, baby.
But I mean, do
I
y'all
love
think
Nigeria.
anybody like that makes a run with it being on home turf, so to speak?
I think Qatar. I mean, because it was something. It was something about. I read an article where it said they ended their league early and they started training their players to as a team much earlier than everyone else. Which I mean, I don't know if that's correct, legal or whatever, according to like the setup. But I mean, whatever about legality in the World Cup, right? But I just feel like
Japan went early.
yeah. And so I think Qatar. I think that first game is going to tell us a lot. And I think if
Spicy
anyone,
opponent too.
who's that?
I say it's a spicy opponent because Ecuador were like,
Yeah,
there were shouts for them to be replaced in this World Cup as well
exactly. Yeah,
because some shifty stuff going on in qualifiers. They were the last
Early
South
Italy.
American team to get in. So yeah, I agree with that. That we might be
Totally.
surprised.
Well, I mean, the thing about Qatar that I remember when they played, I think it was Gold Cup. Yeah, like they really gave the U.S. a run. Like, I mean, they were really kind of pushing things. You could tell that the lack of quality did show up, but there for a while, I mean, they were toe to toe with the U.S. And of course, that was either last summer or 2 summers ago. I don't even know now. But my point being is I mean, they could surprise. I mean, that they've been taking players from Brazil and things like that. So I mean, there should be some talent there, and home turf always brings something out of you.
Well, what's interesting is they played in the Copa America too, so they've been invited to all the recent tournaments. I'm looking at a stat here. It says they haven't lost. Qatar hasn't lost in the last 5 matches, and they're unbeaten in the last 4 home games. So they might be bringing something that we're unaware of, at least to start the tournament.
Miracle in the Desert, is it happening? What is it? We said this last podcast, so it was some maths actually on their side too, like statistics and mathematical how this all works out. It's what was it? It was 8 out of the last 10 home countries advanced or something like that. What did you say?
Yeah, the home field advantage in the World Cup is real.
Yeah, you were like 8 out of the last 10 or something like that went to the round at least out of group.
So here's the thing with Qatar's schedule. It's Ecuador, then Holland, and then Senegal.
Yeah.
So they know, just like US Wales, this first game is the pivotal one in the group. It's monster. It's monstrous. They gotta have it.
Yeah.
So I think they might come out. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong actually. That's even better. That's even better for them to play
Ecuador
Senegal
won.
second. Yeah.
Well, I see another stat. Ecuador haven't scored in their last 3 matches. So I don't know, man. I think it might be a bit spicy on Sunday.
Spicy. Group A, bringing the heat.
Yeah,
like
no,
it.
yeah. They play on Thanksgiving. Or excuse me, Black Friday. Qatar, Senegal, 8 a.m. Black Friday. Yeah, that's the same day as England, USA.
Right.
I'm looking at this. England and Iran's at 8 a.m. our time, so it's going to be in the dead of day.
Oof.
How does England handle that?
Yeah, it's gonna be hot.
Hey, are they gonna have? Do they have 5 subs? I can't remember because I know in the Prem they do that. But are they gonna do 5 subs for the World Cup?
I definitely think so.
It's
think
all
so.
key.
In 3 windows,
The
yeah.
whole 9. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I would assume they'd have to be in the. Oh my god, dude! So many games.
Yeah.
But this again plays on Southgate's tactics, so I don't know. I don't really rate him. I'm not a manager in that level, but I see what I see.
Yeah. What about some of these other perennials, these other champions? What do y'all know about the curse of the holders? You think so for example, Germany won 2014 and then had their worst performance in 80 years in the last tournament. France won in 98, were embarrassing in
They're
2000.
going to have a hard tournament this year. I'm telling you, losing their they have no.
They've got it going forward. They've got the Ballon d'Or winner as a number 9, Mbappe and Griezmann beside him. Like,
They better hope they keep that. Yeah, they got to keep the ball in that third.
just pass it to the Italians, baby.
Just let 'em run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Benzema's gonna get his goals too, which is why I see France going through. I just don't see them doing well. I see them definitely competing because you're not. We've tried it. City tried it. You all know if Benzema's on one, he's gonna get one.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, he gets goals when he wants them. He gets them.
he gets them.
I mean, Benzema does what he wants. Look what he did in the Champions League last season. He
Right.
runs shit. He does whatever he wants.
He can sit the whole game for 80 minutes and just be like, "All right, guys,
It's time to score 3 goals and dump Chelsea out the Champions League.
Send them home."
Well, I think Pogba and Conte missing, it's going to be huge, though. I think that's going to be a really, really big miss because Pogba is a different Pogba in the World Cup, and
Yes,
Conte is just Conte.
Pogba wears the flag better than he wears any badge. Right. He's a right.
And you know that's my concern. I mean, there's a ton of talent in the French midfield, but how do they handle it? You know, I mean, they don't have that destroyer. I mean, they really
How are they
don't.
gonna line up is another thing too.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I really liked France in 18. You just saw it was there. It was there. Like every piece was there. Just don't see it.
Yeah.
I think that they'll get out of the group because I'm looking at the group and I don't see how they don't get out of the group, but I don't know. Unless
Denmark might take the first one.
I think if they get Ousmane Dembele to play the 10 role behind Griezmann and Benzema and Mbappe, and then have Camavinga from Real Madrid like behind him, I think they might be okay. He's a monster for Madrid.
Do you guys know anything about the rumors of Zidane is supposed to take over France after this World Cup? I saw a rumor of that.
Love to see that.
that would be awesome.
I think that fits him.
I'm telling you, bring him to
Chelsea.
God.
Never
Oh,
gonna. Zidane's picking up his home nation. He's going for it.
I love it. Good for him though.
That'd be cool.
Now, I don't know if it's true, but I could see him. He's a personality manager. He's sort of like, as an NBA reference, he's like the Phil Jackson, right? So I could see him managing the national team. I mean, I've never rated him on tactics as a club manager, but he'll get something out of a start, and so I think he's perfect there, especially since they have so much talent. But I think that's part of the reason why I'm agreeing with a lot of you guys with France, because I think they're kind of also a little tired of the champs as well. Like Didier is just like, hey, it's kind of done with him. He's had his. You can see they're kind of tired because they haven't been playing that great. But like not where they were, and so I think that's where they fall, and it'll just they'll advance as they should. But then I think once they get one of these younger, hungrier teams, I think that'll be the end.
Yeah. Right. My biggest thing is.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say my biggest, like one of the ones I'm really excited about are these little boxing matches, like Mexico Poland. Like we know Argentina is gonna perform in Group C. Mexico Poland, like that's gonna be a dogfight. Like they're gonna have to dogfight for second place.
Mexico's gotten out of the group in every tournament since like '94 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, since like
Ochoa is a time machine, baby.
Manuel Ochoa's played in 37 World Cups.
Wow.
Haven't been 37 World Cups, but he's been in
Yeah.
every one of
He's
them.
got them all.
What's funny is just bringing up aside, like I remember Belgium's golden generation when Hazard was like the top three in the world, Hazard, and then they hired Roberto Martinez, who I've never rated as a manager, and it looks like he sucks the energy out of them, and so this is like the last one for those guys, and I low key want them to make a run, but Martinez's tactics are awful, and so I think I would like to see them to make a run outside of the manager, but I think I'm hoping and wishing, but like Lukaku is not even Lukaku anymore. You know, he has, what did they say, touch,
Long.
and De Bruyne is De Bruyne is in form, so you got him, but I mean, I don't know what Eden Hazard is going to show up for this World
How
Cup.
many
So
cheeseburgers my man's eating in the last week, man?
Let's see Leandro Trossard, my man from Brighton, get a shout.
Yeah.
Trossard tore Chelsea up.
Yes, he did.
Gave
Love
Cooper the hoof.
to see him opposite De Bruyne for the Belgium.
Gave
Hazard, De
Cooper the
Bruyne,
hoof.
and Trossard. That'd be awesome. That would be so awesome. What do we think of the Brazilians, Brian?
I like the Brazilians a lot. They're probably number 2 for me to win.
After US, of course.
After the U.S., of course. Although Xavier won't like that pick. I got U.S. and then Brazil to take it home. Although I fight that with another South American team in Argentina. I think Messi, Di Maria, they got a little bit of midfield going on. I think they can. I don't know. I was, before this, we got on the call. I was trying to figure out who I liked to take it, and I was between Brazil and Argentina.
Do they have to play
But
each
Argentina
other?
might- I sure hope so, man.
So English-French quarterfinal, Brazil-Spain rematch. Oh my God, that'd be epic. Actually, could end up.
Yeah.
It could end up Brazil-Germany rematch.
Ooh.
You know they've only played at the World Cup twice.
Are you kidding me? Those games are
Really?
0-2 final and the 7-1 semifinal.
0-2 final. That was the boy.
Are y'all concerned about Brazil's defense?
Say what?
I agree.
Are y'all concerned
agree.
about Brazil's defense?
I agree.
I mean, Thiago Silva's ancient. But he's been all right at Chelsea. They've been terrible, but he's been all right. But Marquinhos will be in there too from PSG. He's had a good season.
Let's see. You got Militao.
You think Dani
Danilo.
Alves gets any time? He's somehow squeaked into the squad. He's only been around for 40 years.
The legacy selection.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, the elephant in the room is, I mean, I've done 4 like predictors, and the Portugal and Argentina one is the one that the world is dying for. They're dying for that one. I mean, I'm being honest. I would love to see it, and if they could make it a final, I mean, it might be. I know as Americans we talk about other sports that are the most watched. If Messi and Ronaldo manage to make it to the World Cup finals, that will be bar none the most watched game in history.
If that,
Did I miss the note? Oh, okay. It went silent.
I can't hear him.
Yeah, it went really silent.
It went silent. That's how big it was that it went silent.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it couldn't even handle it.
I was looking at the Argentine team, but the funny thing is Portugal and Brazil and Argentina are really good. Like both teams are top tier. Where it's a realistic final. It's not like a pie in the sky. You want to see Kobe play LeBron when LeBron had a crap team.
Really good
like
team.
It's really realistic because Argentina, they're a good mix of younger and older players, and obviously they have that number 10 on their team. And then Portugal also has a really solid group of guys that are in their prime. And number 7, while you may not like him for personality, you put him in front of a goal, he puts the ball in. He does do that.
Yeah.
I give
Well,
it an interview.
speaking of like most watched. I mean, think about that England-US match. That might be the most watched US soccer match. I mean, it's on Thanksgiving Day. It's in a good time slot. Like, especially if they win game 1 against Wales. I mean, it seriously might be the most watched US soccer game ever.
I'll definitely be tuning in. That's for sure.
And I will be there to talk all the trash in the world if the United States beats them. I'm going to talk all the trash because yes, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you know it. You know it, of course. Yeah, I think that Portugal have a sneakily strong team, definitely on paper. Bernardo Silva has had it's tough to like rate people at City this season because Haaland is just lighting up all the stats, all the headlines, all the news. But I think Bernardo Silva has quietly had a great season so far. He's been really solid. João Cancelo made the trip out. Ruben Diaz will be in there. Ruben Neves has been Wolves' only player all season long. Rafa Leao's been great at Milan. Yeah.
How are we not mentioning Pepe? We gonna leave Pepe out? Come on now,
He's 39. Pepe's 39 years old.
He's the king of red cards behind Sergio Ramos. The king.
Oh my god, man! He's ancient. Does he make the field?
Of course he does. Of course he does. He
Shot.
makes it because he's inspirational.
Get him a
It's
walker.
the inspirational start. I like that.
Xavier, I think your mic's screwed up.
Did you plug your old mic in or unplug something? I can't hear you at all.
So while Xavier figures that out, I'm gonna have to bounce off of this call. So I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, thanks so
Nice
much,
chit
man.
chat with all you guys.
Appreciate you coming out. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You
Best day.
appreciate you.
Later, man.
Later.
Can you hear me now?
There he is.
Yeah.
Yes. There we
We
Yeah.
lost Brian, and Xavier's back.
go. Stupid.
Well,
man.
he has to come back in on the Portugal Argentina final because I know that's where we lost them.
Bro,
Yeah.
if it happens, I'm one to err on the side of conspiracy theories, especially with all of the
Like you do.
controversy surrounding this World Cup.
Here we go.
If it happens, I want it to happen. Trust me, I want the GOAT match to be settled and done. Whoever wins it, that's it. That's the GOAT. If it happens, though, I'm going to be so skeptical of that because it will be the most watched thing in the entire world ever, period. Like,
Yeah.
everybody who knows anything about soccer will turn in to watch Ronaldo versus Messi to take what will be the deciding factor for years.
Well, that's the only thing that separates them because now I think now that they both have an international cup, the World Cup is the only thing that would separate them, and this is the last one for both of them. So,
Does Messi's mean as much as Ronaldo's though? I mean,
No.
in my
Not even
opinion, no.
close.
They
Not even
literally
close.
they made up a cup for him. They literally
Right,
made up one so he could win.
Here, Messi, you can have one too.
They had to run. They ran like 4 Copas in a row. And I was like, dude, like, what are you doing? I mean, I know it wasn't 4, but they ran a bunch of consecutive ones, and that was sketchy. But he needed to monkey off. But yeah, I think non soccer fans will watch a World Cup final with those two as well.
Ronaldo's
And
the biggest he has the largest following on social media. He is the most followed human across all platforms. If he ends up in that final, it will do so much. Again, I'll be very skeptical. But if they end up in that final, it'll do so much for the sport, moving it to propel it forward more in America, in places where other sports are dominant. Like, oh my goodness, dude, that would be epic.
I don't know, man. I think with Ronaldo at the helm, they always have a shot. I'm Messi all the way. I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I love Messi. I love Leo Messi. His stats are just a tiny bit better. He's done it quicker. He's already won the argument for me, but that's just for me. I do agree that winning the World Cup either way will cement it for either one, but even with all the BS, even with walking out of the Tottenham game, even with having one goal this season, even with giving an interview to Piers Morgan 3 days before the World Cup, it's still Ronaldo.
Ten
Mm,
Hag.
You know,
Ten Hag coming into Manchester United was the difference between Ronaldo being okay there and not. Under Ollie, he was fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ten Hag does not like him.
At
Ten
all.
Hag
They
also has
yeah.
problems with players over at Ajax as well. He's not a player's manager.
he's not a likable person.
No, he will bench you if he has an issue with you.
Which
Yeah,
is
I mean,
a weird. That's a weird thing to do as a manager too. Yeah.
Right. But if I could move, just side caveat, if I could move one human being in this cup to be born somewhere, I would put Aaron Holland in the Netherlands so fast. Bro, that would
What
complete
Team
that.
USA? What are you talking about?
No, I want to move to the Netherlands, man.
Well,
No.
Bring the old lion back.
If Holland was an American, he would be the most known human on earth. Period. There's zero question. If he was an American, I mean, he has the profile. He's a giant man.
Giant man, blonde.
And he's athletic. He literally could play basketball, right? So he
Yeah.
fits all of the things. And
That's
he would
the
be
thing,
the
though, if he was
most well known.
American- If he
yeah.
was American, he might be an NBA player. He might not even be playing soccer.
Football, dude. He'd be a great linebacker for the Panthers, Luke
Yeah.
Kuechly style, jumping over
Defensive end. Defensive end.
I don't
But
know.
I-
He's razor thin.
As a City fan, I'm glad he is not in the World Cup though. I'm personally glad that he's not there because he has injuries. He needs to rest. So I'm hoping for the best for that. But I mean, he the World Cup is the World Cup on its own. So I'm excited about that in general.
So
Yeah,
the
it's gonna be awesome.
the Argentina Brazil game is that
Ooh.
is that a final in and of itself there in the semis? Do you think whoever takes that goes on with the momentum? Because that's huge. You're gonna look at a.
I don't know. You can say the same thing about the other side. It's always,
I mean, the other side's gonna be the quarterfinal is gonna end up England France. That's gonna be an awesome
So
quarterfinal.
So what if it's France Portugal or England Portugal? That's still
I
monstrous.
don't think England Portugal is as big as a rivalry as an Argentina Brazil.
Oh
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
not even close.
But I would say this: if it was like a Spain France, or like maybe.
No, Spain Portugal, the Iberian Derby.
Ooh.
How would it play if and because we haven't talked about him at all, if
Right.
Neymar wins the World Cup? Because we haven't talked about him at all, which says something about the personality of what's going on and how he's been kind of overshadowed a little bit. But if Neymar wins the World Cup with Brazil, that'll be number 6, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think this will be their 6th one if they do win it.
Yeah.
And if he leads that team, like the whole narrative of Neymar changes.
Yeah.
Completely. He has been monstrous. I don't know how much PSG y'all paid attention to. He's been. I mean,
he's finally an adult. Like you can
Yeah.
tell the difference between Neymar.
he still dives. He still takes those
He's
dives.
not going to change as a player. I'm saying that off-field personality, which kind of set Neymar apart from like being this higher echelon of icon status player. A lot of that's gone out the window since he's gotten to PSG, and that drama with Barcelona leaving and everything. He's really become, like I said, a kind of an adult with this. And if he does take it down with Brazil, my only fear is that Brazil is poised and has the squad depth to win it, that it's going to be chalked up to, oh yeah, they were supposed to do that. So it's not going to weigh as heavy for Neymar if that happens. And that sucks because Brazil, well, you have to look at like the Ronaldinho, Ronaldo squad. Like, Ronaldinho could be in the GOAT conversation as well, but he won't be, even though he has a World Cup, because Ronaldo won that World Cup. So is it
8 times in that World Cup, bro? No one overshadows Ronaldo in 2002. Man.
right?
He scored 8 goals in that tournament, man. Insane.
And he was that was chilly Ronaldo.
That's, in my opinion, I don't know if y'all saw the note at the very bottom of my notes, but in my opinion, that's the best champions there's ever been. Brazil.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You look at that team and it's like, oh my gosh.
It's the Barcelona 2012. It's icons, man.
It's stupid.
It's an all-star team.
Yeah. But there's a couple of names that we haven't even gotten to. Like Germany is mainstays at the tournament, and I mean they brought some of the old guard. Thomas Mueller is like 97 years old, and he's in the squad. I love Thomas Mueller. I'm a fan.
How many goals does he need? How many
This
goals does he
is
need?
his World Cup for sure. He's 33. How is he
How
not?
many is he behind
older than-
Klose?
I mean, I think he was in 06.
Yeah.
6, 10, 14, 18. Yeah, this will be 5.
But he's only what, 2 behind Colosa or something like that, right?
Wow.
He's got a ton of goals. He's got a ton of World Cup goals, man.
He's close to breaking the record.
I actually think he's not. Last time I looked, there's Kristen.
Yep.
Last time oh yeah, no, you're right. He's got 14.
Yeah. Because in the last tournament he scored it was that Germany game.
No, wait, that's Gert Mueller. Gert Mueller has 14, excuse me. That's the OG Mueller. No, he's got a lot of goals for the World Cup though, or in World Cup history. But yeah, I don't know if he'll start, He's old. Mario Götze came back as well.
Wow.
Another one, I mean, is Spain. What Spain is showing up. I don't know if it's obviously it's not the generational one where they won the 3. Did they win 3 Continental Cups or 3 tournaments?
They won
in a
it.
row?
Baby.
08 Euros, 2010 Cup, 2012 Euros.
Torres, baby.
Hey, y'all, I gotta run.
Yeah. No worries, man. Thanks for coming on. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
y'all.
Thank
Y'all
you.
have a good one.
Man. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. Yes.
it. Have a good night.
But I think those are your perennials. I mean, obviously I'm looking at this Portugal. We talked about England, France, Brazil, Germany, Argentina. I mean, my question would be, who's the sleeper outside of those names?
Serbia, baby. Alexander.
I think so. No, I agree. I think Serbia, or even Croatia. I think one of
count out Croatia.
I think those guys can make a run. I think so.
Yeah. I love watching Croatia at the World Cup, man. I remember because back in 1998, it wasn't, we had to watch it on VHS tapes. Me and my mom recorded some of them on VHS tapes. And I remember watching Croatia play France in the semifinals. And dude, I still remember Davor Suker, who played for Yugoslavia in 1990, was also playing for Croatia in 1998. He talked about how they scored right before halftime versus France. And then Lilian Thuram, you remember him?
No, I don't remember. No,
he scored. He played 147 times for France.
Wow.
He scored twice. He played for 14 years. He scored 2 times for France in a World Cup semifinal to beat Croatia 2-1 after going down. Lilian Thuram is like a left back, pops out of nowhere, and scores 2 goals to sink a debutant. Croatia that was their first ever tournament because they were gained independence in 91. And so they were flying way high. And he comes out. I love that. I still remember that to this day. I've watched that tape so many times. A couple of screamers too.
Well, a thing that we haven't talked about is I think scoring is going to be quite high in this World Cup because it'll be you'll see defensive lapses because of getting used to the heat, and I think that's going to make it even more exciting because that'll lead, in my opinion, it'll lead to some unexpected results where I think you'll get draws from games that we don't expect that'll have draws, and it'll be high scoring draws. Like I had a feeling there's going to be a couple of 3-3s out there.
3-3s, yeah.
And I just think it'll be just from fatigue. I think fatigue will get to the defenders, and I mean you're never too tired to take a shot. So you'll have guys taking shots, and these are the world-class guys, so they're going to put them in, and it's just about spacing, tactics, and what they do. And if you don't have a rotation right, or you miss your tactics, I think there are going to be goals in this World Cup.
Last World Cup had the most goals ever. So I would love to improve on that. Wouldn't that be something? That'd be intense, man. But yeah, I agree.
I would agree with that.
Who do we think's nagging the golden boot? You think Lewandowski can Superman it for Poland and score 6-7 goals?
Put it on his back. If England makes a deep run, my initial thought is Kane.
He scored
I agree.
6 goals in Russia.
Yeah, I think it's Kane too. I think Kane will be the golden boot.
Which will beg, this is something me and you touched on in the last podcast, how in this, if he does it all cup, if England makes this run, if they do a deep cup with Kane playing this position and playing this role, how much more does that chip into the block that he can keep doing this again in the domestic leagues? That's all he does. Game in, game out, week in, week out. This is it. This is his game, and they'll play to it every day.
There's no way. I made the same counterpoint in the last podcast. He can't do it all season.
You can't do it all season, so it's
He's
going to be interesting to
getting
see.
everything that Tottenham do. He's putting everything that Tottenham do going forward together, and he's scoring the goals. He's not going to be able to do both roles all season.
So to Lewis's point, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how sustainable some of these teams really can be with offensive and defensive tactics. Like, I don't think Brazil, sorry about you, but you're not going to be able to run Thiago Silva
Nope. Nope.
8 games deep, man. Like, you're not going to be able to do it.
There's going to be goals, man. Now, I think the teams that are able to play out of the back, I think they and can possess the ball. I think that's going to play a lot. I think that helps Brazil because Alisson is pretty good at that. And so I think they'll be able to do a lot of that. And, I mean, you got to think Spain will probably play some football like that. And this is, again, where Southgate really will matter because his players can play that ball, but is he going to have them play that? I don't know. I don't see him. He hasn't shown he's up to it yet.
So do you think, hinting at all this, I wanted to ask you, because me and Jake talk about it all the time. Do you think England's issue with the World Cup, the whole stem, the systematic issues that England has year in, year out, every time we come up to this tournament, they're poised to be the best. They have some of the best names on the stat line. These guys hate each other every single week. I'm sorry, if I lined up as a Chelsea player and you put me beside some Tottenham scum on the back line, sorry about you, you're about to get leaked a goal because I'm going to let this dude through to make you look like an idiot because I hate you.
No.
That's a joke. There's no way, but these guys don't have the chemistry that most national squads inherit because there is, whether we want to admit it or not, there's got to be some rivalry between some of these players. Like, they bash, they bang week in, week out against each other on these tables and in these games and in these derbies. It's gotta mess with them a little bit going to the cup.
I think it plays a role, but if they're mature like Spain was with Real Madrid and Barcelona, then they shouldn't have an issue because they have the best players. I will say this, because they have, again, so many technically gifted players. Like, I think what City has 4, maybe 5 guys on the team. So I just think there's enough familiarity where, like, even though Sterling doesn't play at City anymore, he knows the system. So him playing with Grealish, right? With him, with Grealish, with Foden, with Phillips, with Stones. I just think it's enough guys who have synergy there. Where Kane would have fit. You stick Kane where Haaland is. I still think you get maybe not the same number of goals that Haaland has, but you get the same goals. And so I think if you stick those guys together, England should make a run. But I just don't know if Southgate's the guy. I just really don't.
Okay.
I agree 100% with that because think about it. If they play Trent Alexander-Arnold at left back or outside back, we'll see those long balls because that's what he does. That's what Liverpool do when he's in the squad. They try to hit those long diagonals, and I think you're right. I think that's what we'll see. I hate it. I would hate to see. They should possess the ball. They should try to be Manchester City. They should 100% because they have the players. They have the team to do it. And literally all the teams that these players are coming from try to play like that.
Spain dominated Europe and the world for 8 years with that same football. Like, I don't understand. I mean, the Dutch play the same football and they've been dominating world football. I don't understand why you wouldn't play it. If I'm being honest, if I'm Southgate, I stick those guys out there that know how to play that system and I let them play. I just let them play. They know what to do. And then I take credit for it.
I feel like there is a bit of that for everybody though. They've got a week to prepare,
Yeah.
and so I feel like there's a little bit of you guys are professional, and this is with everybody. You guys are professionals. You play week in and week out. You've had the experience of trying to fit in with new teams, with new guys. So I think that it'll come down to, just go out and do what you do, And I think also a lot of it's going to come down, especially for US, you got to want it. You just got to be able, and I think it plays into what you were saying, X, you got to work for the man next to you.
Yeah.
You're going to have to work
You have
really,
to, right.
really hard.
Which is the funniest thing, because the reason why I bring that up is because of the old adage. England had two of the best midfielders undoubtedly at the same time in their country, Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard. I think I'd be hard pressed to find me a game where they were on the field at the same time or played well together while they were on the field at the same time.
I always thought they were the same. I always
Yeah,
thought
their style is exactly the same. You didn't get anything from having them on the field together.
I mean, right, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Those two guys would have never played together, is what I'm saying. Like the rivalry there is too deep. I'm pretty sure they told the team to leave the other one home. Like if you take me, you're leaving him home.
Well, it's like Lewis said. It's like Lewis said. It's going to be, that's where Southgate's going to have to come in, and choosing the personnel is a tactical decision as well.
Yeah. Well, as long as somebody gives me another Robin van Persie Flying Dutchman, I don't care, because I need one of those just to take it there. But I need it to be Captain America. I need Captain America to give me that.
There you go.
And then the whole United States will be stuck to the World Cup for the rest of the tournament.
My African home field advantage was going to go to Senegal. I really liked that Senegalese squad. Bar Sadio Mane. Even without him, I still like it. I think Ghana makes a bigger push now than Senegal. I hope that they do what Lewis said. I hope they take it and use it as fuel, not we're on crutches now. We lost undoubtedly probably the best African player right now. I mean, Mo Salah or Sadio. You can make the argument for either. But I think Ghana with
no love for Thomas Partey?
I was thinking Cameroon might make a little bit of a run as well.
Ooh.
And just as a dark horse, I think they make it to
midfield.
Nobody's talking about him. Nobody's looking at him. Yeah.
I see him in the round of 6. I put him in the round of 16 in my dream bracket. So I think I can see something coming out of that. I mean, it won't be an easy task, but I think I can see that.
That's a rough group stage, bro. That is a rough group stage.
It is.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Granit Xhaka is going to be pulling it big for the Swiss.
So you think it's going to be Cameroon, Brazil?
No way. I think Serbia all day, baby.
Serbia all
day.
I look for upsets when I run mine.
I like it.
I look for upsets,
I like it.
All right. Last thing, and then we'll go ahead and cut it off. Objectively, not necessarily your team. What is the best goal you ever watched live at a World Cup, as far as on the TV, obviously?
For me, man, it's definitely the Robin van Persie, because I was watching the game and it was a good game and it was about to die, and just the run before the goal was insane. Like the run by itself was insane. But then to put the ball out there, I'm like, what the hell is he doing? I was like, oh my God. Like just the whole sequence. I was like, that's crazy. And so for me, it's just the sequence, because I've seen goals and good goals, but that one it's glued in my memory, man.
I love it, man. You want to talk about a highlight reel? Xavier and I were discussing who's the best ever Dutch player, and Van Persie came up because he may not have accolades. Yeah, he won the league with United or whatever, and he was with Arsenal for a long time. But that highlight reel, he scores some sensational goals, man. Flying Dutchman, not the least of all, obviously. But I mean, there's been some crazy goals. James Rodriguez goal for Colombia was crazy. The Maxi Rodriguez goal for Argentina versus Mexico. Man, there's been some spicy ones.
James, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say you can go ahead. It's not.
Well, I was
But
thinking about
normally-
hummus because I lived in Colombia for 5 years before, the last 5 years before this one, and just the World Cup play of James literally catapulted him to like God status in Colombia. But then he got so deep into his own head that he could never live that down, and he just made bad decision after bad decision. And so but his play, like it was, you could see why the whole world wanted him. The way he played in that World Cup was insane, and so I could see where that would take him. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I know I said objectively, but I would have to say, I just can't ever. Anytime this conversation comes up, I'm just like Landon Donovan sends USA into delirium over Algeria in 2010. Like man, I literally broke my toe celebrating that goal. I'll never forget that. Man, if we can get a moment like that.
It's the buildup, man. Like the buildup. It's like, and even the buildup to that goal. I remember the entire buildup from Tim Howard going forward. I mean, that's why the Van Persie one sticks out to me. But I remember the Landon Donovan one like yesterday too.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I have a ton of USA World Cup memories seared into my brain, and I can definitely only hope we'll get more of that. All right, final prediction. Who wins?
Well, for me, because I don't know if Xavier's there. For my heart of hearts wants Portugal to win, and I'm just being honest. I think Portugal has the team. I would love to see an Argentina, a Portugal final, or an Argentina Brazil final. I just want to see Neymar or Messi or Ronaldo together in that final. If I can get a pair of that three together, then it's the best World Cup. I don't care how corrupt it was.
Fair enough.
My knee jerk is it's I think Brazil truly came with everything they possibly could throw at this. They've been gearing for it. They've put it's going to be a tough one to take to knock them off. Whoever knocks them off is the Barcelona Champions League adage. Whoever beats Brazil will probably go on to win this cup. But my pick is Brazil. Although as much as I would love England to win, again, they find a way to just absolutely trash the chances. Brazil's my pick. My most memorable goal would either be the Iniesta Netherlands game winner, and this is a big one because it's a historical moment because of what it did to Messi in his GOAT run. Mario Götze stealing the World Cup from Argentina in the 118th minute. I don't know if Germany wins that if they go to PKs. I really don't.
He came in the 87th minute as a sub.
Wild game, dude.
Yeah. I remember that I was at a bar in Atlanta, and I remember that, and I lost it, man. I was like, no way they lost that.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I remember the Iniesta. I remember the Iniesta one more, like where I was, what I was doing when I was watching it, who I was with. But the Götze one, like I remember where I was and who I was with, but it wasn't like a holy like Spain wasn't supposed to win. It was their golden age. Sorry, they were supposed. That was everything Spain had been putting together. Yeah. And I mean, I could say the same about Germany with that squad. That was that kind of their golden.
I called that before the tournament started. I'd said before 2014 that Germany would win for sure. I mean, I didn't think they would blow people away like Brazil, though.
Right. But no, I do. Iniesta's my goal to remember it. That against it stole it from the Netherlands again. And then I do think Brazil's gonna. I think Brazil's my pick to win.
Nice.
What about you?
I think, if we look at recent history, if we look at the last two major tournaments, England have denied that old curse of not performing in big tournaments. Finalists in the championships, fourth place in the last World Cup. I think they've got it. I think they have what it takes.
Mason Mount, baby.
They all know
it's coming home.
Out.
Have a trophy
like you said, man, they play against each other in these big derbies week in and week out. How much pressure was the likes of John Stones at Anfield. You know, I mean, the likes of, you know, playing those derbies, man.
Oh,
Liverpool go to Tottenham. Virgil van Dijk played against Kane. You know, in these huge monster pressure games.
Yeah.
I think England's got it, man. I think Kane is just going to put him on his back, score a ton of goals.
And you have to look at it, Jake. You make a really good point. The last tournaments, the UEFA, the Champions League, the Europa League, and all of the major tournaments too have been with
British
Right?
teams.
So I think you're onto something there, man. The pressure is really not shouldn't be there for them. It should just be.
There's always pressure. I think they
Right.
can handle it though.
Well, yeah. If Trent Alexander-Arnold can pull some BS in the Champions League and hit corners the way he did for Liverpool, just turn around and whip one. Like, yeah,
absolutely.
you're good. So that's a good one, though. I liked it.
Perfect. Well, I'm pumped, man. This has been awesome. Thanks again, Lewis, for coming out. Definitely
Lewis,
glad
awesome, man.
Patrick
Thank
were
you
able
so
to
much.
make it. This has been absolutely fantastic. I've had a wonderful time. I'm really, really pumped about the World Cup. 2 days, baby.
2 days,
It's
baby.
here. It's on top of us.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. This was the For the Badge podcast. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications. We have 5 more nations to get out in that World Cup series. It's going to be coming at you really, really soon. Thanks again for listening, and good night.
Good night.